Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yasodanandana Bhartijana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Previdakacharya Asatars of the Srimad His Divine Grace the A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantadeva Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinaha Samakam Radhakuni Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai Shri Maya Punavdam Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Somabheda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Gau Premanandi, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Which verse are we on? 6. Chapter 6?
Verse 6.
5:25. 5:25. 6. All right. All right, there we go. You want to go ahead and check? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Seva Bhagavan Ananto Nantagunarnava Adideva Upasangrita Marsha Rosha Vego Lokanam Svastaya Aste.
Okay. Translation. Lord Sankarshana is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadeva. He is none different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Purport. Anantadeva's main mission is to dissolve this material creation, but he checks his anger and intolerance. This material world is created to give the conditioned souls another chance to go back home, back to Godhead. But most of them do not take advantage of this facility. After the creation, they again exercise their old propensity for lording it over the material world. These activities of the conditioned souls anger Anantadeva, and he desires to destroy the entire material world. Yet because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is kind towards us and checks his anger and intolerance. Only at certain times does he express his anger and destroy the material world. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnanam Jana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kotva Chalam Pangulung Hayate Gurim Yat Kripata Raham Bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Vancha Kalpa Tibhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we've seen in our lifetimes, it's not easy to check anger. Here it's mentioned that Anantadeva, he is angry, but he checks his anger and intolerance. Great personality. It's not easy. Prabhupada tells of two brothers who had different opinions, and they were arguing, and it got heated. It got real heated. And then they started fighting, and one killed the other. Anger. It's amazing. Because of a different opinion. Yeah. Opinions can like Krishna, he has his opinion. Aitanyapiti karamani sangyang tatva phalanicha kartavya niti vitartha nishitamidam uttamam. He says that that one should perform one's duty without attachment or any expectation of the result. That should be done as a matter of duty. This is my final opinion. So Krishna has his opinion. We have our opinion. But a devotee always accepts the opinion of Krishna. Final opinion. We don't have our opinion, which is different from Krishna's. It's always in sync with Krishna's opinion. That's what makes devotees devotees. They don't argue with Krishna. So this, different opinions can cause problems. So this, actually, I was just checking this out on in the folio, that this envy comes from, or this anger comes from, and envy comes from dualities. Dualities. Icha dvaisa samutvena dvandamohena bharda sarvutani samo sargayanti parantapa. That all living entity is born into delusion, bewildered by the dualities arising from desire and hate. Dualities. This is a major problem. It's a world of dualities. So many dualities in the material world. And it causes so much anxiety, envy, anger, so much disturbance. Narada Muni, he says that the way to give up anger is to give up envy. The way to give up anger is to give up envy. So what is envy? It means that someone has something that I want, or someone has a quality that I want, or someone may have a job that I want. Like I was speaking to Andrew next door, nice guy, Andrew and Griffin, nice guys next door. They were speaking yesterday. He said, "Yeah, I do yoga in the morning, yoga in the afternoon, just to relieve me of the stress of my job." Yeah. He said, "I always wanted a job that I liked." You know. I said, "Well, I lucked out. I got a job I like." You know. I distribute these books on yoga and meditation at the park there. So he said, I envy you. In a nice way, you know. So sometimes people envy in a nice way. They just wish, you know, wow, I wish I had a job like that. You know? So, yeah, we have a job. We have an opening for it. You know? So yeah, this is how to give up anger, to give up envy. But it's not easy to give up envy either. This is one of the major problems in the material world, are envy of Krishna, envy of other living entities. But there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, one of my favorite verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Labante Brahma Nirvana Vrisiksamakhamasa China Dvaitya Tapmana Sarvabhuta Hiterita. That one who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt. So dualities, they arise from doubt. Yeah. We think that we deserve something better, or we want something better. But actually whatever Krishna arranges is perfect. It's perfect. So when we doubt the absolute position of Krishna, we want something more than what Krishna has given us, then this causes anger or envy. It's a subtle little statement there that Krishna makes, but when I read that, it's like, wow, that's a very deep statement. One who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt. So if we have faith in Krishna, then everything goes smooth. Because we're servants of Krishna, whatever happens, it's wonderful. Because people don't have faith in Krishna, don't have faith in God, they become envious or they become angry. If we have this faith in Krishna, then there's no more anger, there's no envy. Krishna's in control. He knows what he's doing. Right? Labante Brahma Nrisik Samakamasa, one who is free of the dualities arising from doubt, whose mind is always engaged within, who's always thinking of Krishna. Not easy. Not easy to always think of Krishna. One has to be very sincere to always think of Krishna. Whose mind is always engaged, who's always busy acting for the welfare of others. And like Prabhupada many times he said, this is the best welfare movement because we're helping people understand who they are. We're helping people understand that they're spirit soul, that all these desires, these material desires are not going to satisfy them. Shota vyadini rajendra nanam santin sahasra pasham atmatattvam grihesu griham edanam. Shota vyadini rajendra nanam santin sahasra. Persons who are materially engrossed, blind to the knowledge of the self, have many subject matters for hearing and many different activities because they're blind of the knowledge of the self. So many things they're doing. But when people get knowledge of who they are, then their whole life changes in a very positive way. Just like many of us, we had so many desires and we were doing so many nonsense things before getting this knowledge. And now we have this knowledge, we have this process, and our activities and our thoughts and everything, much more refined, much nicer now than previously. So we're trying to refine our own lives, and we're trying to help others as well. And then Krishna goes on to say, and who is free of sin is already liberated, is understood to be liberated. Very powerful verse. The 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, there's one in the what was that? The path of yoga, I think. I was just reading yesterday. The Prabhupada, he says that when one becomes enlightened, there's no envy. There's no envy. There's no anger, there's no envy, there's no material envy, there's no material anger. There's pure anger too. It's like Hanuman. Or Ananta, yeah. Pure anger. He, in all humility, Hanuman destroyed the whole city of Lanka. There was no material anger there at all. Completely spiritual, completely pure. So, when we become enlightened, we become free of material anger. We become free of material envy. And one becomes free of dualities. These are dualities. I become angry at this, I become envious of this, I like this, I don't like that. All these dualities. So Prabhupada goes on to say that as one becomes more and more enlightened, he doesn't see, oh, this is my enemy, this is my friend, this is my father, this is my mother, this is the president. These are all designations, temporary designations. And it's interesting, he goes on to say that it's just like people on a stage. On a stage, just actors on a stage, playing different characters in a stage. This is my mother, this is my father, this is my enemy, this is the president. It's all just characters on a stage. Very interesting, huh? But just like when there's a theatrical play, sometimes people they play very well. Their roles, their characters, they become very angry. Like Prabhupada tells of one instance where the person was in a theatrical drama, and he played his part so well. One guy took off his shoe and he threw it at him. Yeah, from the audience. And the actor said, "Well, thank you very much. That was a great compliment." And Prabhupada also, he was a good actor. They practiced for a year for this drama of Lord Chaitanya. He played Advaitacharya. And they got it down so well that after the drama, it was over, and no, usually there's an applause or something. Everybody was crying. Everybody's just like, it was done so well that they were just overwhelmed. Yeah. Probably had something to do with Prabhupada being in there. So it's just a drama, just like we have these bodies. But this is not who we are. Like we have mothers and fathers. That's not our mother. That's not our... Krishna's our father. Radharani's our mother. But we get caught up in this illusion. These are my siblings. These are my parents. No. How many parents have we had? Maybe millions. Mothers and fathers and siblings. But now in this life, this is my mother, and I got to have affection. This is my mother. This is my father. These are my siblings and cousins. And no, it's just a big drama, a big transcendent, or not transcendent, a big material drama, temporary. So we have our real family members in the spiritual world, and the devotees. These are our real family members. So this is one of the advantages of taking to devotional service. One becomes free of designations. Sarvapati nirmuktam tat pratvena nirmam hrisikena srisikesa sevanam bhakti uchate. That by rendering devotional service to Krishna, there's two side effects. One, we become free of material designations. It's not easy because from the time we're born, we're ingrained in these designations. I'm American. I'm proud of it. Man, woman. Now also in ISKCON now there's designations also. Minister of book distribution, another designation. No, that's just temporary, just another temporary designation. Yeah. And you get absorbed in these designations, and then You have different opinions, you know, with these different designations. Just like I was thinking in the early days in the GBC meetings, they would have different opinions and strong opinions. And they would sometimes they'd be shouting. They'd be shouting, really intense, shouting at each other. And if it got too intense, someone would come and put a little mad dog in front of them and say, "Oh, you've gone too far now." That was back in the 80s. Sometimes it got a little wild. Different opinions. A little dog, you know, like a little plastic dog, little mad dog. Yeah, just let them know, you've gone over now. You just calm down, chill out. Because you couldn't say anything to him. He's angry, you know. So they just come, put the mad dog in front of him. Calm down. You've gone over the line. And when they got that, then that was the message. All right, you got to calm down. It'd work.
Who would be the one with the mad dog?
Well, there'd be someone designated. They'd have their that would be their service. It's much calmer now. But this is the material world, you know, different opinions and anger and envy. But by taking to Krishna consciousness, we get purified. We become free of designations, and the senses become purified. This is the other purification that takes place, the other result of taking to devotional service. Our senses become purified. Wouldn't it be nice to have a pure mind, you know, pure senses? Just want to engage all our senses, our mind, in the service of Krishna. So this is the path we're on to eventually becoming pure again, free of designations. We have our pure designation. What's our pure designation? Our pure, I guess, will that be a pure designation? To understand I'm a soul, I'm part of Krishna. There's pure designations. We're all part of Krishna. And then everyone becomes your friend. There's no more enemies. It's just one big family. We're all part of Krishna. And we're trying to help people come back to Krishna, to the real family. Yeah. So maybe I'll stop there. Any questions? Stop a little early. Yeah, Bob.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this expansion of Krishna mentioned in the sloka is Anantadeva?
Ananta. Dev, yeah.
Is he angry at this point in time?
Is he angry now?
Now.
Yeah, he's tolerated. He tolerates all of our nonsense.
It seems so. Things are just falling apart. The government, the Congress and the Senate, they instead of having the mad dog, they only allot so much time for people to speak their mind.
They have to stop at one point.
The senator has 1 minute. That way, I guess that's how they check people's anger.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, realistically, it's like, when we're expressing our emotion, sometimes it's good, that we get a little bit carried away, but there has to be a check and balance system. But and I'm not comparing our methods to the government by any means, because things seem to go forward on our platform. And anyways, thank you for letting me share.
Yeah. Yeah, devotees sometimes also become angry. Yeah. Prabhupada would become angry if devotees weren't acting properly. He would become upset. And it's it's not an easy thing to check. What was the Kalakanta's term? The I, what was it? I message? I message. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, by taking to Krishna consciousness, also we get to the point where we understand I'm spirit soul. This is just the modes of nature acting. This anger and envy and lust. This is the modes of nature. So we have to tolerate these modes. Sometimes we have to, just like I speak to a lot of families on book distribution. So when there's a family that I ask, I ask the kids, so does your parents, because I show the five senses, and at the end I say, the soul is saying, "Oh, chill out, slow down," to the senses, the mind, slow down. So I ask the children, so your parents ever tell you to chill out, slow down? And they go, yeah. So similarly, the mind, we have to tell our mind also, we got to chill out, slow down. You get angry or envious or something, we got to preach to our mind, because it's like another entity. The mind is like another entity. So you got to kind of preach to our mind, chill out, slow down. Devita, you have something to say?
Raghunath Das Goswami wrote a whole 11 verses called Manakshiksha, Instructions to the Mind, very famous. Yeah, he's instructing the mind.
Instructions to Manakshiksha.
Manakshiksha.
Isn't there someplace in it that it's like something about, I forgot.
On the highwaymen?
Yeah.
There's that, yeah. Asacheshta kashta pradabhikata pasha. Is that traveling along the pathway of life, and we're caught by the ropes of sinful activities that are wielded by lust, anger, greed, who are personified on this path. So how do we escape? He says we have to call out to the devotees of Krishna to please save me, and then Krishna and his devotees will help us with good instruction and shelter. We can be saved. It's a nice verse. But I was going to mention one other thing about, because you talk about the dualities. How the dualities goes doubt. The Prabhupada cites one verse near the end of the 7th chapter as how we came into the material world based on these dualities. It starts out with Icha and Dvesha, the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, and the repulsion, aversion to serving Krishna. Itta Dvesha Samotena Dvandva Mohena Bharata. From these arise this duality, dvandva mohana, the bewilderment of duality, delusion of duality. And in that mood, dvandva mohana bharata, sarva bhutani samohana, every living entity who's here has gone through that. Sarge yanti parantapa. Sarge yanti means comes into the creation. So Prabhupada used that verse to substantiate the fall of the jiva. If anyone wants to have a doubt about that.
Prabhupada says in one purport that the living entity comes to hate the devotional service of the Lord. Yeah. Like I remember we were in Santa Monica doing Harinam, and this person was in line to go to the movies. So he had to sit and listen, or he was standing. He had to listen to the holy name. So he came over to me and said, "Hey, I'll give you a donation if you guys go down that way some." He didn't want to hear it. It's just like he hated to hear the holy name.
Harinam once in downtown, where we used to go every Friday night, and Yamuna Pati had made this big sign. I think we still have it. It's a little heavy to carry, but it's pretty substantial. Hare Krishna sign, Hare Krishna mantra. And we were standing it, and this, I think it was a homeless guy. He came up in front of us and he punched the sign so hard that he created an impression in the sign. Then he ran off. It was like he was so disturbed by the chanting of the. Like happens.
People come to hate the devotional service of the Lord. So there's a lot of hate. It's like here in America, there's the white supremacy movement, which has increased thanks to our ex-president, Trump. Yeah. So many people just hate black people or brown people. Yeah, just terrible. But Prabhupada said, no, we accept everyone, black or brown or man, woman, because we see everyone as a soul. We see beyond the designation, beyond the skin. Yeah. So this is the kindness of Srila Prabhupada came. He, just like we have this United Nations, Prabhupada said, disunited nations. Because the flags are increasing, Prabhupada said, this is the real United Nations. Yeah. He was, what was he? There was Australian getting married in India, and what was there was Swedish and Australian. Yeah, a Swedish person and an Australian lady, they were getting married in India. And there was a huge crowd of Indians just to see that, these Australian, European getting married together in an Indian wedding. It was like, this is like too much for them. And so Prabhupada gave a lecture and said, this is the real United Nations. And everybody just like, oh, So this is the real United Nations. Everyone is spirit soul. Everyone is part of Krishna. So and with that mentality, everybody can come together nicely. Just like now there's a war between Russia and Ukraine. But not between the devotees of Russia and the devotees of Ukraine. They're loving devotees still. It hasn't changed a bit. Yeah. But others who are, think they're Russian, think they're Ukrainian, there's some tension. You had something else?
Well, maybe if nobody else in the room, maybe Zoom can, and then if there's time, I'll change it.
Dimitri has something. Our devotee from Russia, who loves the Ukrainian devotees.
Maybe you can talk about continuing developing relationship with your spiritual teacher when you both attain a spiritual form. Like he's, sometimes your spiritual teacher has a lot of disciples, and I'm just wondering how it's going to take place when, you go back to Godhead. And also within the yatra that you stay in, because you might not have so many God brothers in the yatra that you stay in. So how does it take place, if you could talk about that?
Oh, a very esoteric topic there. In the spiritual world, Prabhupada, he said that in the spiritual world, we will have ISKCON also. So, spiritual master will be there, God brothers will be there. I don't know if you recognize anybody, but Prabhupada said that. So yeah, we try to serve the spiritual masters as nicely as we can, pleasing the spiritual master. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada. By pleasing the spiritual master, then we please Krishna. And this is the goal. We have to please Krishna, please the spiritual master, please the devotees. It's all about a service attitude. One devotee asked Prabhupada, "You have so many disciples, and I'm so distant. How do I know if you're pleased with me?" And Prabhupada replied, he said, "If the temple president is pleased with you, I'm pleased with you." Interesting statement. Because he's the representative of that particular temple. So by pleasing the devotees, if we please the devotees, we should know that the spiritual master, he's pleased, Krishna's pleased.
And now we're going to continue serving the spiritual master in the spiritual world, or we're both going to serve Krishna together?
Both serve Krishna, my understanding is, yeah. He did his job, brought you back to Krishna. Now you go on serving Krishna together. Online. Vijay Krishna, are you there?
Yes, Vijay Prabhu, I am here, but I just got out of ISKCON Denver Srimad Bhagavatam class. I didn't hear your class, Prabhu. I just came here now.
Well, you lucked out.
Yes, it was a very long class given by Parameshwari Mataji in preparation for the forthcoming Krishna Janmashtami on Friday, next Friday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So do you want me to ask a question? Can you give me the subject of the class, please?
You're a very funny person. Wait, Balaram has something to ask.
Okay, I can wait.
Well, I was going to make a comment because this idea of, we're discussing anger and how to engage anger and Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Because it was brought up recently about, okay, if you're engaging in a war, you have to be angry to fight, right? But generally, when devotees go out on book distribution or Harinam, there's not like a mood like, all right, we're angry and, let us. So in relation to that, I asked my spiritual master, His Holiness Giraj Swami, about this point, anger, how does that how do you engage that in preaching? And he said that he gave an example of himself. He said that when he was out making life members in Bombay, there was one bogus spiritual group that was also going around, and they were doing a lot, knocking on people's doors and giving them books and whatever they were doing. And he said that knowing that, he felt some anger that these people are these so-called spiritual people are actually cheating people. And because they were cheating people, he felt some anger. And in that way, he used that anger to enthuse his own giving out books and trying to make life members.
Huh, interesting.
So it's like there's many spiritual groups that are like, non-authentic groups that are cheating people out there. I mean, there's like millions of books going out all the time from these cheaters.
Yeah.
Like just go to Barnes and Nobles. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of cheating books out there.
Okay.
So then devotees could feel, oh, these people are being cheated, and they could have some transcendental anger. Let me, try to give them the real thing. So anyways, it's another aspect, another angle of vision, how to see that. And of course, it was brought up, we shouldn't feel anger like, why aren't you taking the book? And I'm out here trying to save you, and, what's wrong with you? Or, things like that. That doesn't really work.
Yeah.
That's pretty clear. But in this way, we could try to utilize that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sometimes on book distribution, devotees will get angry. They'll think, oh, this person's so nice, and he's talking to them. He'll definitely take a book. And then doesn't take a book. And then sometimes there's a little anger. This is dualities. We're seeing that we enter into dualities again. We're not seeing that Krishna's in control.
But it was also asked, it was Juhu Beach, and there was that, what is that devotee's name? He's his brother. They're two brothers. Yagya Purush. Yagya Purush and Banabhatta, his brother. Yagya Purush and Banabhatta.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Yagya Purush was saying how he was seeing Srila Prabhupada, they're on a morning walk, and then Mr. Patel, or Dr. Patel was, they had all these he had all these interesting conversations with Prabhupada, but in one of the conversations, Dr. Patel was getting mad at Prabhupada again for criticizing, the sadhus of India, the saintly people of India. And Dr. Patel said to Prabhupada, just, you do your thing, you do your thing, and you let them do their thing, just leave them alone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a peaceful thing, right? Shanti, right?
Yeah.
Peace. And Prabhupada got really mad and upset, and he actually shouted. And he said, if I'm performing an operation, if I'm a doctor and I'm performing an operation on my patient, and somebody comes in and they try to cut my patient, am I going to allow them to do that? He said, no. He said, I'm going to yell, get out, rascal, you know. So it's like that. Like, devotees are trying to help people, and then you got like, they're actually real cheaters, you know. You know, sometimes they think, oh yeah, it's okay, you know, they're cheating people. No, it's not okay. It's actually like criminal, you know. You got people trying to cheat people, you know, trying to. So then Prabhupada said, no, I'm not going to let them do that. So it's a real thing, and it's important that devotees live on that platform, because without living on that platform, it's actually Mayavad, you know, to be okay with everything. That's actually Mayavad. So, anyways.
Yeah, there's so many translations of the Bhagavad Gita. One place Prabhupada says there's 640 different translations of the Bhagavad Gita. But no one became a devotee of Krishna with all these other translations. Yeah, so even the Mahatma Gandhi, he also translated, but he said, at one point he says, I do not know if Krishna ever existed. Yeah, and he's translating the Bhagavad Gita. Everybody's got to go into the Bhagavad Gita. And so Dr. Radhakrishna, I don't know, it's not unto Krishna that one must run, but unto the unborn within, you know, like, just so much speculation. Yeah. But Prabhupada translates the Bhagavad Gita, and thousands of Westerners become devotees of Krishna. Yeah. And therefore, Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita as it is. And the others can be Bhagavad Gita as it isn't. Right? Now there's another one, someone else did in Bhagavad Gita as it was. Yes, trying to get that off of Prabhupada, yeah. Like it was actually, this is how it was actually spoken, yeah. But Prabhupada gave us the real, true opinion of Krishna, not some speculation. He gave us the true opinion of Krishna. And therefore, devotees are benefiting, people are benefiting all over the world from reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, Bob.
I just wanted
Oh, yeah, microphone.
struck a thought in me. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. It's funny that you hit on that topic, because, you know, when you look in the Bible, it's the gospel according to so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know, and then
According to John, or what's
Yeah.
it?
Luke. Yeah. It's just, it's funny that you know, it just really struck really strong in my mind when you made that comment. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, thank you so much.
Bhagavad Gita according to Prabhupada. Pure understanding.
Hare Krishna. Just that one point you made about the Mad Dog Awards, and it was just making me realize, you know, I remember some years ago His Holiness Bhakti True Maharaj used to give courses sometimes on Vaishnava etiquette. And I think in those early days, you know, none of that was really there. So these kind of anger situations, it's the modes of nature, right? Like we kind of get into it and it takes up this whole kind of flow. We get carried away. And I was just thinking like how important that Vaishnava etiquette is, because it's, you know, we can get training and then know how, even if we disagree strongly, but we know there's like sort of ways to deal with it, you know. I don't know if any devotees are teaching those courses these days. But
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a mediation, two devotees that were like really angry at each other. There's a lot of animosity. So the mediator had the two come in there, and he was very bright. He wanted them. He thought, let me try to get these two together by something that they agree on, and he started talking about book distribution. I mean, anybody that's not into book distribution in ISKCON, it's like, you know. So they kind of got together on that one common ground of book distribution. And then, you know, gradually this mediator was able to kind of, you know, because they came together with that one, they were able to work out the other things, and they came out, you know, nice. Yeah. Yeah,
because the converse, a few years ago, I was actually working with Bhakti Maharaj in Kalikanta, not who was just here, but the Brazilian Kalikanta that
Yeah.
works with the cows and the farms. And I remember Kalikanta, we had a program at Bhakti Maharaj's place in the land, and it was like a conference of farms in North America. I remember Kalikanta, he does it all over the world. Afterwards, he told me, he said, North America was the hardest place because so many leaders still had grudges against each other from stuff that happened way back when, you know? And so there were actually people that like, well, is so-and-so there? I won't come if they... It was like he was just saying I guess because America is the oldest also, but, you know, I was just thinking how those things can cause so much, even ongoing kind of like, you know, disruptions to the service and the serving mood and the sweet relationships between devotees that can be there.
Yeah, holding grudges. You know, it's like, you know, they have that saying, you forgive someone, but to forgive and forget, whew, that's the tough one. To forget, also, not easy. But again, it's just designation. You know this person is. The thing is that the body, you know, that to go beyond the body to the soul, and then so many difficulties are worked out. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah.